Yeah, these nuts are just slid back down on here. They couldn't get this running, and they took it all apart and just put everything back finger tight. Okay, I got a nice, good, flat, smooth head, which is nice. That means to refurbish it, all I got to do is put it on a flat plate. A flat plate is a perfectly flat piece of metal that's machined to be perfectly flat, and you just put some sandpaper on it, and you just go like this with it. And you can do that with engine side cover plates, clutch cover plates, cylinder heads, whatever, and that makes a nice flat surface. If the O-rings or the seal grooves are machined into the head, you can't do that, because then you make the groove thinner and thinner and thinner as you work on it, and that's not good. But yeah, this head has some marks and damage on it where it lost a top end and had engine damage before. That's not aluminum, that's steel. See those little ping marks there? Okay. Well, pinging is when that's something different, but I just called it a ping mark. I should have called it a gouge. Those gouges there are not from anything aluminum. They're not from broken piston. That's from where a piston ring turned sideways, or a circlip went wild in there, or a crank rod let go and pieces of the crank came up around and got busted all up around in there, or whatever. But this cylinder, this engine is definitely blown up before. Does that bother me? No. That's far enough out on the squish band that it's not going to cost me any horsepower. I can smooth that out if I care, if I want to. Probably won't bother. I'll probably just go like that on a flat plate and make sure that my gasket surface is good. And it's got a slight warp in it from the last time it blew up. You can tell because see how shiny it is over here on this side? And see where the gasket marks are there? And this side here is marked in a totally different way. Why did that happen? Well, that happened because the last time this blew up, it got slightly warped by a couple thousandths of an inch and nobody refurbished it at that time. Oh, somebody jammed the wrong bolt in the wrong hole. But what I may do, because it's my bike and I do whatever I want, is I might paint the frame blue and the engine blue to match that old 1980s Suzuki blue. This engine could be blasted back to its natural aluminum color. It could. Look like a matte finish CZ75. I mean, it'll just look beautiful. So we'll go around and loosen each one of these just a turn or two. But don't take them off and don't take all the pressure off because you want to keep everything flat. In other words, if you took one of these nuts all the way off, there's no support on that cylinder, the corner of the cylinder. And then as you work your way around, you could cause, you know, warpage and unevenness. You want to kind of crack them loose all the way around. Then go back and loosen them off. Alright, now the thing you want to watch when you're pulling pistons and cylinders apart, when you lift this cylinder up, your rod and your piston are totally unsupported. You don't want to have, because those pistons are gentle. People think they're strong because of what they go through in the life of an engine running. They're only strong in the direction by which they're designed to take pressure. They're very strong in that direction. But if you drop a piston on the ground, you can break the skirt right off of it. And they're aluminum, which means they can gouge. They can be dented and gouged and dug into by tool marks and scrapes and stuff. So pistons are very delicate when you're working on and around them. You should be very careful with them. And so are piston rings. Yes, they go up and down 13,000 times a minute, you know, under incredible amounts of pressure and heat. Yes, all that's true. But they're in an environment by which they're protected from angles getting things out of line. Everything's stroking completely in line. The piston's stroking in line with the cylinder. The rings are sliding up and down in line with their ring glands. In the environment by which they're designed to function, yes, they're very strong. But when you twist a ring sideways, you can snap it right off with your fingers. You don't, you know, you just go like that and they crack and crumble apart. So when you're working on this stuff, you want to be very delicate, very careful. Wow, that sucks. Oh, maybe that just fell out. That probably just fell out. I can't imagine that was in there when it ran a little while ago, or it would have never run, it would have broke. Yeah, this dowel pin just fell out of the cylinder. There's no way that was sitting in there before, or it wouldn't have started and ran the way it did. Look at that. They put they put a bolt that long. You see, it's got nothing to bite. So let's check the condition of the cylinder. It's wet with water. I see water in it, and that sucks. I'm sorry, excuse me, that stinks. That stinks, because either it came in through the crankcase. See all that water here? Look at that. Either it came in through the crankcase, you know what, it appears to me that there's no base gasket. It appears to me as though somebody was, let's say, mechanically challenged enough. We'll word it that way. Somebody was mechanically challenged enough that they thought that bolting this down would allow this to run. And that certainly is not the case. The other thing I notice, and we'll get into this deeper as I pull these reeds out, but you see that reed cage is damaged. Either somebody thought they were modifying it to make the bike go faster in an inappropriate and unreliable way, or, because the reason I say it looks like that could happen is because it's uniform to that channel, or a piece of metal got in there last time this thing blew up and hit it and twisted it up. But either way, that reed cage is unacceptable to me. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to go ahead and try to run this cylinder. I'm going to go ahead and try to run it. Piston's clean looking and brand new looking. So what does that tell you? It means they put it back together and never got it running right. Now, that's the most important thing, and the reason what I want to accomplish today is check this rod. It's got angular side to side like they all do a little bit. But when I take up the play with the piston and the rod by doing that, because you know right now there's play in the piston and the rod, you can't feel. When I take that play up and pull up and down, I'm looking to see if I can get that whole rod to move on the crank pin. They all slide a little bit side to side. They all have a little bit of angular movement, especially when they're used like this one is. There's two washers down in there on either side of the crank. You want to make sure they're there and in good shape, looking all right. You know, the side to side on the rod shouldn't be much. It should be very minimal, which this one is minimal. But what you really want to look for is up and down. That's the telltale. And as I'm pulling up and down, I'm not getting any play. Wow, that's really interesting, because if that crank's good, and the problem with the cooling system wasn't the water pump, but the lack of a base gasket, you know what, folks? This could be, this could be nice. This engine could run and function with nothing but a base gasket. And they're like, I don't know, 30 bucks, 20 bucks, 40 bucks, whatever. Wouldn't that be cool if I could get this engine running for 30 bucks? I want it safe. I want it safe. And I need it to have more power than a 125 because of my body weight to clear some of these small double jumps and tabletops. And I'm not going to be out there jumping triples and all that. I'm not doing Larocco's Leap next weekend. That ain't happening. But I do want enough power to get over some basic doubles and tabletops, just for, again, for safety. One problem I have with this engine is just how ugly it looks where they spray painted it. Somebody hit that thing with black spray paint. Y'all be ashamed of yourself. It's just so ratty looking. And whoever put that top end together without a base gasket, don't even need, just please, no offense to you, sir, whoever you are, but please don't work on a motorcycle again. You might hurt somebody. And I don't say that to be mean. I say that with love in my Christian heart. I don't want you to hurt anybody. Oh. All right. Yeah, let's split the cases. Let's do it. If I'm going to sit here and lecture everybody about safety, then we got to be safe, right? If I'm going to sit here and lecture everybody about it, then that's what we got to do. Tear this apart, be as safe as possible. That means inspecting everything inside, making sure nothing's going to come apart, nothing's going to seize up at the wrong time. I mean, you can never guarantee that an engine's not going to lock up when you're racing, and anybody that's ever been racing knows that. But we can take steps to minimize our risk, and that's important.